Out of the state of Illinois, Chicago suburb of Round Lake Beach, Jason Karels, 35 years old, and his wife, Deborah, had been separated, but they were sharing custody of their 3 young children. Over the weekend, where the children were due to stay with their dad, the following morning, a welfare check had been requested from Deborah Karels. She could not get in touch with her husband, and the children had a doctor's appointment, and she needed to come pick up her children. Police would enter the home and find all 3 of the children deceased. Bryant, 5 years old. Cassidy, 3 years old. Gideon, 2 years old. Apparently, the children were drowned in the bathtub. There was a note written for Deborah Karels. Quote, "If I can't have them, neither can you." Unquote. Jason's own blood was found splattered throughout the house. Hours later, on Highway 57, the Illinois police would spot Jason Karels' car. They engaged in a 17-minute car chase with him that ended up on the Interstate 80 in Joliet, Illinois, where Karels crashed into a wooded area. While he was being taken out of the wreckage by firefighters, he admitted to killing his children and also trying to kill himself inside the home. Karels admitted to drugging the children first before drowning them in the bathtub, and that was also listed in the toxicology reports that the children had been drugged before drowned. Karels was charged with first-degree murder in the deaths of all 3 of his children. There is a detailed video where, in police custody, he had confessed to everything. My condolences to Deborah Karels, a terrible action taken upon the father of her children. I'm sure she had not one inkling that something like this would have occurred while she entrusted the man that she was still married to. She entrusted him with their children. On Sunday night, when she had spoke with her children, she was happy to hear them, and she said, "I can't wait to see you guys tomorrow." And unfortunately, that was the last time that she would see her kids alive, when she gave them to their father.
That day, I wish I was there to grab them before this all happened.
Through almost unimaginable grief, Deborah Karels says she wanted people to know about the 3 children she lost, apparently at the hands of her husband, Jason Karels.
Out of New Jersey, Rahway, New Jersey, an Amber Alert was issued after a 2-year-old boy, Sebastian, did not show up to his daycare, and his mother, Yasmin AR, 24 years old, did not show up to work. Taylor Rios, 27 years old, had been talking to friends of his and saying what had happened to Sebastian and his ex-girlfriend. Those calls were traced to a hotel in Tennessee. He was arrested on July 10th, 2018. His son was with him, not physically harmed, but I am imagining emotionally harmed. His son had witnessed everything. AR had been hiding from Rios. He had stalked her, even though she had several police reports and filed against him about his stalking behavior, and was granted a restraining order on him. Rios and AR was arguing about their son, who would keep him, where would he live. She had it with him. They were done. AR's family had known about the domestic violence and supported her always to leave him, and that they would be there to help her afterwards. But we all know having friends and family, if not yourself, have been in abusive situations, and you continue to go back for whatever reasons. If it's financial, because you still love him, because you think he still loves you, there's always reasons. And she was going to stick to what she knew. She was done with him. She had enough. He had found out where she lived, and they argued. Rios had put his forearm around AR's throat until she stopped breathing. The little boy said his mother was cold and that Rios had put her body in a duffel bag. He would then toss this woman, the mother of his children, off the highway in a field like she was trash. And then he would flee across the states with his 2-year-old son. Yasmin Yura's body was found in an open field. Taylor Rios was sentenced this week to 30 years in prison for killing his girlfriend, the mother of his child. And I personally don't think that 30 years old is enough, because he was arrested in 2018, I believe, at 27 years old. So he'll get out between 60 and 62 years old. He still has a chance to have a good life. He still has a chance to have 30 plus years. And that's not fair. And I'm sure the son, he's only 2 then, and he's probably 5 or 6 now. He might not really know the full dynamics of what happened between his parents, but as he gets older, he will find out. My condolence to Yasmin AR's family.
With domestic violence in Tyler is a long relationship. And people have to understand that it's not always just the person that goes through this, it's the entire family. And we as a family have been there for Yazzie through everything that was involved in their relationship. And there were many times where she was almost strong enough to leave the relationship but couldn't. And at this point in her life, she had finally become strong enough to leave the relationship and raise Sebastian and try to have the best life that she could have.
Out of California, Santa Barbara, Matthew Taylor Coleman, 40 years old, was reported missing by his wife along with his children. She said that they had no marital issues whatsoever. It was later found he had taken them to Rosarito, Mexico. I probably pronounced that wrong, but he had taken the kids to Mexico. He had shot his 3-year-old, Kaleo, and his 10-month-old, Roxy, in their chests with a spear fishing gun, and he would leave their bodies in a ditch. He was arrested by customs and border agents trying to re-enter the United States 2 days later. He felt that he had been enlightened by QAnon. Now, I looked at some of QAnon's theories, conspiracy theories. I read that they are an Illuminati-based conspiracy theory. The politics are also entered in with it. Trump's presidency was entered in with it. It's a lot going on with it. Here is just a small snippet of just some of the stuff that was discussed in QAnon.
Looks at how a conspiracy theory could make its way into the halls of Congress after the election.
I'm a conservative Republican.
It's an overwhelmingly GOP district, so she's favored to win in November.
We have an Islamic invasion into our government offices.
But after Politico uncovered Greene's previous Islamophobic, anti-Semitic, and racist remarks about Black people, GOP leaders distanced themselves, condemning her words as appalling, disgusting, and bigoted. But Republican leaders remain largely silent about Greene's support for a far-right conspiracy theory known as QAnon, support she professed in a 2017 video she deleted before her campaign launch.
Q is a patriot. He is someone that is very much loves his country, and he's on the same page as us, and he is very pro-Trump, okay?
QAnon first emerged in the months after President Trump took office, starting on fringe internet message boards before spreading to social media. Adherents allege, among other things, that the president is the target of so-called deep state actors, high-ranking officials plotting against him. The conspiracy quickly took off, and the president's supporters latched on to the mysterious Q. Signs and T-shirts appeared at Trump's campaign rallies. Last year, the FBI labeled the movement a potential domestic terror threat.
I stand with President Trump. I stand with Q and the team. Thank you, Anons, and thank you, Patriots.
But now, QAnon has firmly taken root in the 2020 campaign trail.
Honestly, everything that I've heard of Q, I hope that this is real.
Some congressional candidates, like Lauren Boebert in Colorado, promoted the conspiracy theory to friendly media outlets.
So that's what he was looking at, and that's what he believed in. He told the FBI that his children were going to grow into monsters and that he had to kill them. He had visions and signs that showed that his wife had serpent DNA. So this was something, again, that he really believed. He believed that his children had this serpent DNA and that they would spread it and that they had to be killed, that the alien species was inside them because of his wife. So he ended up murdering them and leaving them in Mexico. Now that he's been incarcerated and he doesn't have access to the internet, he is rethinking everything. And he said he may have been delusional based on what he believed. And unfortunately, all this was at, the sacrifices of his 2 little children. And I really believe that, I'm not sure, I didn't really read too much into this, but I really do believe that his wife may have been next, because if she's carrying this DNA, this serpent DNA that has entered in the babies, then that means she has to be one. So maybe she was next and he got rid of the kids first, because that would be something that, he had to get the kids away from her. I don't know. Horrible stories. All 3 of these horrible stories. And all month long, for the rest of the remaining month, all month long, Father's Day stories.